Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 157. How can schools and administrators reduce and prevent teacher burnout? This is such an essential question because we are finding so many teachers leaving the profession, especially right now, especially after the last couple of years. It's like we were already asked to do the impossible many times, almost daily. And then we had a pandemic and we were asked to just go way beyond that. And it's become an incredibly insane atmosphere. And it seems like we are just asked to do more and more, and there's no slowing down. It's as if we functioned in a crisis. We functioned in a crisis, and then the people around us were like, okay, well, they can do it, so let's keep going. Let's keep functioning this way. Instead of taking things off of our plates, they added things on our plates. And so we're constantly working in this crisis mode, which is so bad for all the people involved. It's bad for teachers, it's bad for schools, it's bad for students. So how can we prevent teachers from burning out? Well, today I sit down with Jennifer Rafferty, and we talk, who's a fellow educator and the creator of the Empowered Educator. And we talk about how to prevent and reduce teacher burnout. And I really want to hear her opinion on what schools and administrators can do to help reduce this. It's going to be heavy, people, but maybe, just maybe, there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Devery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Devery.
Hey. Okay, so I want to talk about teacher burnout. Now, first of all, this is what I want to say, and if you're on my email list, I talk about this a little bit this week. You get my email on Wednesdays. It comes out on Wednesdays, and I talk a little bit about how sometimes when we say things like burnout, it almost implies that is the teacher's fault. That is our responsibility, that somehow we did something wrong or we didn't do enough to prevent that from happening. And I want to tell you that is simply not true. There's nothing that you've done or haven't done that has contributed to feeling burned out. There are things that you can do to help yourself, but it's not your fault. And often when we are in demoralizing, oppressive environments, we try to speak up for what is right, and we try to say what we think is best for students and best for the environment and best for families, and often we are silenced, or we are told to be quiet, or we're not falling in line, or we are wrong. And that is very demoralizing. And there's a big difference between feeling demoralized and feeling burned out. And so I just want you to keep that in mind because, again, burnout sounds like it's your fault, and it's not. And the way that we're going to talk about it today, we're not speaking about it being your fault. We're just going to talk about strategies and ideas that will help prevent that feeling from happening. Now, one thing that I want to say that I think would actually help as far as schools and administrators go, and I hope to talk to Jennifer about this, is I think that there are some things that they can do to help prevent burnout for teachers. And one of those things is, first of all, I think we need to give some autonomy back to teachers. We need to let teachers make some decisions for themselves. We need to empower them instead of put them in this particular box and make sure everybody's doing the exact same thing at the exact same time. That isn't working. It isn't moving the needle. It's not producing more effective students or, good test scores. None of that is working. So we need to stop doing that. It feels like conformity. It is conformity, and it's not working. And I think if we gave some more choices back to teachers, we would eliminate some of that kind of thinking, and we would allow teachers to be their creative, truly amazing selves, and we would see some spectacular things coming out of the classroom instead of what we are currently seeing. And I think that is a very important part. I also think that administrators and school districts can not only give some autonomy back, but they can take some of these expectations off of the teacher. The fact is, all of our students are about a year behind. Now, some of them, they fared better. They did all right during the shutdown. They continued to learn and they had support at home or whatever their situation is. But students that already struggled or already would have struggled, it can be difficult for them to learn in an environment where there's, not any boundaries, or there's, someone has to make it up and figure it out. And in that case, we've got thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of students across our whole entire country that are not to the expectation that we currently would like to see. Now, there's a part of me that feels like some of these expectations have gotten ridiculous in the first place. Because when I first started teaching, we often joke about how kindergarten, is the new first grade, and first grade is the new second grade, and on. And we have gotten crazy. So maybe we need to reevaluate what kids should be doing at certain points. And also maybe we need to reevaluate it anyway. Maybe we need to take it as, okay, this was a loss of time for everyone. Let's take them where they are and move forward, instead of let's push until they catch up, because you feel like you're never going to. And this pressure is so massive for the children and for the teacher. The teacher feels like a failure constantly. And imagine if the teacher feels like a failure, how the students feel. That is just one of the many things that are causing teachers to flee the classroom and feel completely overwhelmed. And so what can we do about it? All right, let's talk to Jennifer and see what she has to say. And I'm excited to get this conversation started. Let's get on with the show. So I'm excited today to have a very special guest talking about a really important subject, and that is preventing and really helping teachers deal with burnout, which is a big buzzword right now, but we're talking about that. We're talking about things that we can do to help teachers not feel such pressure and to kind of deal with what's going on inside of them. So I have Jen Rafferty here from the Empowered Educator, and I'm so happy to have you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy that you reached out, and as soon as I saw what you wanted to talk about, we could have talked about so many different things, because I was like, yes to all the things you said, but this was something that I'm like, we really need to discuss this, and I've been talking about on the podcast for the past couple of weeks, like mindset and things that, to help take care of yourself and to set your boundaries and those kinds of things. But one thing I want to say before we get started, and I thought a lot about this, is like sometimes when we even use that word burnout, it feels like somehow like that's the teacher's fault. Like you didn't do enough. You didn't take care of yourself. And that is absolutely, and I know you, because I know that's not what you stand for. That's not what we're talking about, because sometimes that demoralizing feeling of not like having your needs met, or thinking that you are the expert, and then it gets pushed down constantly is demoralizing. And that doesn't mean that those feelings of burnout are your fault. So I want to say that, like, first and foremost, so that teachers aren't feeling like, that this is on you and you got to figure it out. Because there's things that we can do to help ourselves and that we can figure out, but also I just don't want people to feel like we think that, oh, this is all you, like you're burned out because you're not taking care of yourself.
100%. And I'm really glad that you said that. I actually gave a talk last night, and I started with the same thing, because right now what we're hearing is that self-care is almost becoming this weaponized verbiage of, like what you said, well, if you just self-cared enough, then you wouldn't be here. And that's simply not true. And the work that I do is about empowering yourself to show up the way that you want to show up, that aligns with your values as a human being, period. This has nothing to do with the systemic problems that are happening in education right now. This has nothing to do with toxic work environments that you don't have control of, your administrative initiatives or their culture of communication. This is like apples and zebras.
Yes.
Okay. And it is really important to highlight that because it's becoming so buzzy. It's
Yeah.
very easy to conflate the two.
Mm-hmm.
So while you are 100% responsible for how you show up in any given space, you are not responsible for the systemic problems that are happening in education right now. And that's a really big
Absolutely. Yes,
differentiation.
I agree. I feel like it's giving you a standing ovation. Yes. Yeah, no, I'm serious. It is so hard sometimes. It gets like the lines are easily blurred. And so I think it's really hard sometimes to feel, and also there's like, as we know with the systemic issues, we could talk about that forever. Like it feels like a system of oppression. And so when you're in a system of oppression, you do start to feel like this is my fault. Whatever I'm doing, this is my fault. Like I deserve this. I'm not worthy of being treated better. And that is hard. That is heavy. And I think it's a lot of teachers are feeling that way.
Absolutely. And so the work that I do with the empowered educator is to shift that mindset from I'm not worthy to I am worthy of everything that I want. I
Mhm.
am capable of achieving everything that I want. And here's how. Because, we have these, the memes that get floated around of, change your thoughts, change your life, think positive and everything. And, that's fine, but like, it doesn't actually tell you how. You cannot ignore the problems and
Yes.
obstacles
Mhm.
and just think happy thoughts. That's not how this works. However, in the work that I do, I combined concepts of mindset, emotional intelligence, and cognitive neuroscience to actually explain that your thoughts are actually options, that you don't have to believe every thought that you think. And in that way, in changing that mindset and having empowerment over what you are thinking,
Mhm.
then allows you to make different decisions to get you to that alignment. So that's the angle that I'm coming from here.
Okay. I think that's excellent. I love that. And one of the things you just said a second ago about the think positively, I remember sitting in an in service and they were talking about like, bring your own weather. And it was this whole be positive and you have to, if you're going to bring a cloudy day, then it's going to be, and I just felt like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Like you're giving me, you're giving, it's just more and more and more. And then you're telling me to bring my own weather and just suck it up. Basically just deal with it, be happy about it, be positive about it. Don't act like there's a scarcity when there is. And, and so it felt so frustrating. It almost felt like toxic positivity.
Yes. And that's a term that obviously is floated around a lot also in education right now. This idea of ignore the problems and just push through, soldier on, carry on. And what you're doing is actually you're creating a culture of toxic silence because no
Mm.
one is speaking out or speaking up about how they're feeling because everyone just wants to be happy all the time. Which brings me to another point is that we often don't talk about our feelings.
Yeah.
And, unless we are complaining about our stress and we are so good at wearing it as a badge of honor. And we're like, oh my gosh, look at all the stress that I have today. Oh, you want to tell me you're stressed out? Well, wait till I tell you about all of my stress.
So
We
true.
don't actually dig in as to what we're feeling about it. And emotion is an incredibly undernourished part of our humanity. And if we're not able to talk about our feelings, we can't actually solve the problems that we say that we want to solve.
Mhm.
As humans, we are feeling beings that think, not the other way around. So if we're not talking about feelings, we're never ever going to get to the root of what's actually causing us to feel certain ways.
Yes, that's true. So that's beautiful. All right. So what do we do? Like give
So what
us
do we
yeah,
do?
what do we
Yeah. So
do?
here, what do we do about this, Jen? Right. So there are a couple of really solid things that you can do that are concrete strategies for yourself. So first of all, I do want to make just again one thing clear again, and I said this before. you are responsible for how you show up in any space.
Mhm.
Nobody else is. And that is empowering for you,
Yes.
because it's different than, oh, you bring your own weather, right? That's condescending and
Yes.
patronizing.
Yes.
This is, you are the only person responsible for how you show up. And that is a choice that you are making. So if you are choosing to show up in a space with stress, frustration, overwhelm, anxiety, that's a choice.
Mhm.
And that's fine if that's your choice, but understanding that it is always a choice that you are making. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is that this whole idea of enoughness is crap.
Hmm.
That enough is a decision, it is not an amount. And you are the only person who can decide when it's enough.
Yeah.
And whenever that you
Oh,
have,
that makes me want to cry.
right? I mean, because
Yeah.
that's, it really
No,
touches
yeah, no, it does. Yeah.
deep down.
Mhm.
And whenever you're feeling, you know, oh, I'm looking at you right now. Here, just here. I
Yeah.
mean, breathe with me, because this is, I mean, this is real stuff, right? I mean, and for people who need to hear this,
Mhm.
this is liberating.
Mhm.
Because whenever you're feeling something like, I should be doing more, whenever that word should comes into your head, that's judgment.
Mhm.
And that's judgments, usually from somebody else.
Yes.
That when you're shoulding on yourself,
Mhm.
this is other people's expectations of you. And you are actually living somebody else's life if you continue to live by other people's shoulds.
Yes.
So when you're feeling, I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, instead of judging it, ask yourself, what is this from?
Mhm.
Get curious about it. Whose should is this? Whose expectation am I feeling that I'm not living up to right now? And oftentimes, at least in the, you know, when we're talking about teaching,
Mhm.
it's based on this tradition
Yes.
of what teachers should be like and what we're supposed to do.
Yes.
And truthfully, tradition is really just peer pressure from dead people. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what this is, right?
So true.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
So, understanding those two things, that you are responsible and that you get to make the decision about when's enough, is the key to unlatch this next part that I'll go into as kind of the how.
Okay.
Yeah, how's that
Yeah.
landing?
No, it's excellent. And it's so important. It's so true. And you're like right on. I know that's how people feel. So I think that I love that the whole idea of the enoughness is crap and that we get to decide that. And yes, you're right. When you think about it, when you truly think about where that's coming from, it is coming from people that aren't even involved, or it's coming from somewhere else, or it's coming from teacher evaluations, or it's coming from even peer pressure within ourselves.
Which comes from a should from somebody else.
Yes.
If there's some sort of pressure within yourself, then there's some sort of something that's not aligned with
Yes.
who you know you want to be and how you want to show up as, and what this other expectation is. And if it was yours, then they'd be aligned.
Yes.
But if you're arguing with yourself, then it's because of some sort of deep belief that you have that was imposed on you in some place in your life, or a culture that you're in right now. And sometimes it's hard to figure out, right? It's like the story about the two fish in the water, right? Have you heard this story? How, there are two fish swimming in the water, and they're having a conversation, and an older fish swims by and says, "Hey guys, how's the water today?" And the two fish keep swimming, and the other one turns to the other one and says, "What the hell's water?" And we're so ingrained in this culture that we don't
Yes.
even see it. And oftentimes the things that are most important to talk about and notice,
Mhm.
we don't see.
We don't see.
We don't
No.
see them.
No, I have a friend who always uses this analogy, talking about like it's almost like being in a boiling pot of water. It doesn't start off boiling. Like it slowly turns up the heat, and then all of a sudden you're boiling to death. And you don't even know. You don't even realize. You're like, "Wait a minute." So I that reminds me of that, like with the fish in the water and not realizing you're even in the water.
Right? You don't even realize that you're in the water. matter. So, okay. So I know I didn't get to the how yet, but those are two really important things that are the key to get to the how.
Okay.
And I'll tell you that enoughness thing, it's right on my desk. I look at it every single day, and everything that I guide and teach through the Empowered Educator program are things that I practice myself every single day, because this isn't, you do these, 3 or 4 things that I'm going to tell you about. You're like, oh, great, I'm empowered now.
Yes. It's
This
like,
doesn't-
it's a practice that you have to
it's
do
a
every day. Yes.
practice.
Like
And
meditation.
absolutely. And these are skills that we learn. We're not born with them. So, the whole idea is I, again, should know about this already. Catch yourself in that judgment and just give yourself grace that you are in a situation right now where you are fully in the water. You don't even see what's going on. And, one of there's an analogy that someone told me the other day is, you can't read the label from inside the wine bottle. It's kind of what this is. So
Yes.
give yourself grace, and it's okay. So the first thing you need to do is get really in touch with your body, which is probably something that you weren't expecting me to say when we talk about burnout. The reason why we need to get in touch with our body is because most of us go through our lives from the neck up. We don't even realize we have a body.
Yeah.
And we are constantly in our head. And when we're in our head, our thoughts can take us to places in which we never, ever wanted to go. And in connecting with your body will tell you what's out of alignment. Our body is so good at telling us when things are not okay. The problem is we're just terrible listeners.
Yes.
We're terrible listeners, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what it feels like. And we push through and carry on and just get it done because that's what we think, again, we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Where has that led us? How has
Sick.
that served you? Sick,
Yeah. Sick.
exhausted,
Exhausted,
burnout.
tired, burned out. Yeah.
Right?
On medication, after medication, after medication. Yeah.
100%. So understanding the messages that your body is telling you is thing number one. And start to notice, what does your body feel like when you're feeling stress, overwhelm, anxiety, frustration? So for me, I'll tell you right now, I'm a big sweater. Like I sweat, it's gross. That's how I know. I'm like, okay, like Jen's sweating. I'm not okay. Right. But we know what this is. We don't sleep. We sleep too much. We're exhausted. We eat, we stress eat, or we don't eat, right? Our back hurts. We get laryngitis. You're right.
Our stomach hurts. We feel nauseous, like all the things. Yes.
So when you start to notice these things, brings me to thing number 2. What do? You have to pause. And you actually need to calm down your nervous system, because what's happening biologically, and this is where the cognitive neuroscience comes in. Right now I am a certified emotional intelligence practitioner. I'm also in the middle of getting my PhD in educational psychology. So I'm like living my best nerd life right now.
So cool. Yes.
And this cognitive neuroscience piece is just, I could stay up for hours reading about this stuff. And of course, most of you who are educators on listening to this podcast know about, your amygdala, right? And your amygdala is your emotional processor, which is responsible for your stress. And it kicks into fight, flight, or freeze anytime it senses there is an overload or overwhelm of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So when you kick into fight, flight, or freeze, you actually don't have access to your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for higher order thinking, problem solving, executive functioning, all of those things, right? Which is exactly the part of your brain that you need.
Yes.
To solve the problem. And so your body is in this constant state of an overwhelm of cortisol. Your amygdala is activated all the time, especially now during COVID. Trina, we are activated
All the time. Yep.
time. There is never a coming down off of that stress cycle right now, unless we're
Mhm.
purposeful about it. And
Yes.
most of us just aren't, because we have work to do. We have kids
Yes.
that we need to show up for. We have administrators that have expectations of us. So we never take the time to actually complete the stress cycle and lower our cortisol again. We are just jacked
Yeah.
all the time.
All the
So
time.
when we're constantly in this sympathetic nervous system, we cannot actually do the things that we say that we want to do.
Yeah.
You cannot feel peace and calm with a jacked up amygdala,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So there's a couple ways to do this. Calming your nervous system down and bringing it back to that parasympathetic state, or that state of calm, requires a couple things. First of all, I did a workshop with some teachers yesterday, and we actually did some screaming.
That's awesome.
And right, we
Yeah.
just like let like big guttural, like like big,
Yes.
and getting it out that way. That is a great way to let out cortisol, stress, energy, and just get it out. I mean, when was the last time you had a good scream, Trina?
It's been a long time, but one of the things that I did do with a friend of mine who was like was moved grade levels and had like this horrible experience of like, I want you to see what it feels like to be in a testing grade. It was all ridiculous. So she was like what you were talking about, like at the top of, so I took her to a smash room, and
Yes.
yes, it was awesome. And we just broke things, and they were like
Yes.
blasting this, rock music, and we just slammed things and broke them. And it was unbelievable.
Yes.
I highly recommend a smash room to people. It is so good.
100%. Yes. I actually got a gift certificate to a friend of mine too for the, I mean, that's what it is right now. And
Yes.
as a side, like good timing for that business, right?
Yes.
You're
No
gonna
kidding.
get like a whole industry of people coming to your smash rooms.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's a huge one, right? Just screaming it out, hitting a pillow if you need to, right? So that's those kinds of big things. Going for a run is another one that you can do. Another thing that you can do, which you can do actually during the day, and this is a practice that I do every day, and when I was in the classroom, I did this with my students as well, is breathing. And
Yeah.
you breathe every day, all day, your whole life. That's great. But unless you're breathing on purpose, you're not actually calming down your nervous system. So I recommend a box breath is one of the easiest things that I recommend. And that's, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, and do that a round of 3 times, and check in with yourself of how you feel afterwards. And I guarantee you will feel calm and relax. And then, best part, you have access to your prefrontal cortex again to actually make decisions that you said that you wanted to do. I set my alarm 4 times throughout the day. That is my breathing alarm.
That's great.
Because the truth is, you can do a meditation practice in the beginning of the day, and you can have, your gratitude practice at night, and you can like self-care all you want, on the weekend, but your life happens during the day.
Yes.
So if you're not actively interrupting and checking in with your body, you are on autopilot, and you're never going to make those changes.
Oh, that's good. I meditate in the morning, and it's actually the very first thing when I wake up. Because I use an app called Headspace. The very first thing that it does, this little wake up, like it's breathing, but I don't set my alarm for like other times during the day. So that I definitely want to do that.
Yeah. And it's just a way to check in, and, you're going to notice a few things, and you're like, oh, I was jacked up right there. What was going on right there? Right. So that's something that's important to, again, continuing to check in with your body, and to flex your noticing muscle, which is that third thing that I want to talk about, which is, this idea of non-judgmental observation of yourself. Because if we catch ourselves in those moments, okay, so our breathing alarm goes off, we do our breathing. And by the way, like I said, I did this in my classroom. I'm talking about, I taught music for my career. So I'm talking about like a group of 87th graders. I'd be like, Miss Rafferty needs to breathe right now, guys. And we would do it together. And
that's so cool.
As a side too, they realized the value of that also, and
Yes.
started using that in other areas of their life too. But
Yeah.
anyway, so flexing this notice muscle is really important, because when you're in that moment and you're doing your breathing alarms and you're like, oh my gosh, I was jacked, instead of berating yourself for an activated amygdala and
Yeah.
saying, I can't believe I was so stressed out about this, I should be this, I'm supposed to da da da. No, everything that you notice is data.
Mm.
I'm so glad that I noticed this, because I can't change something I don't notice.
Yeah.
And then you can make a different choice and move on with your day.
Yeah, no,
So
I love that. I love that non-judgmental noticing. That's key. Like not
huge.
judging yourself. Yes.
Yes. And judgment and curiosity cannot exist in the same space.
Hmm.
So the second you are noticing a judgment, replace it with a phrase like, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And then you really get to dive into, well, what's going on there? Because everything we notice, like I said, is data. It's
Mhm.
data. It doesn't have to actually mean anything. Right. And this is a practice, and it's going to take time. So I would say at the very start, I mean, I could go on forever.
Yeah.
I can give you 25 steps for burnout, but I want to keep it to, so it's digestible for your listeners, especially today. And perhaps we could do a follow-up, or if
Yes.
listeners are interested, I can certainly give you resources as to where to find some other ways to do this. But those three
Absolutely.
are really the most important: getting in touch with your body,
Okay.
breathing, and understanding that your nervous system is wired. It is biologically wired to keep you safe.
Hmm.
That's why it's so activated, right? Your brain's main job is to keep you alive. So if you get up in the morning, it did its job. Great. It doesn't care if you're
Yeah.
happy. It doesn't
Yeah.
care if you're thriving. It doesn't care if you're burnout. It just cares that you're alive. So, the amygdala hasn't evolved much since the days we were hunting and gathering and being chased by bears. So, we're these seemingly harmless interactions, like, oh, I had a stressful conversation with a parent, or like there's a new initiative, or a pandemic. It seems like your amygdala is overreacting, but in fact it's just doing its job.
Yeah.
It's just trying to protect you. But here's the thing: you're not your brain. You are a person who has a brain. And if you understand how to have a healthy working relationship with your brain, then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. That's so helpful. That makes so much sense. Okay, so those are really good strategies, and I definitely want you to tell my listeners where they can get more, like where they can get more information from you. But before we do that, I want to ask, are there things that like the administration, the schools can be doing for teachers?
Yes. Yes. So in the work that I do with Empowered Educator, I also have a program that outlines the 6 practices of empowered leadership, because the truth is the people who are running the ship are
Mhm.
actually suffering from the same burnout symptoms that the teachers are.
Yeah.
But because there's this us against them
Mhm.
mentality, it's as if they are put on this higher plane, when in fact they are people too. They are people who are experiencing the same trauma, the same burnout, the same pressures that everyone else is, and they
Yes.
are not equipped to make decisions that are helpful, because they don't have access to their prefrontal cortex either.
Yes.
So creating systems, creating programming, creating initiatives from a place of scarcity and lack and burnout and frustration and overwhelm and anxiety. And just, I mean, even just saying these things, I'm
Yes.
noticing what it feels like in my body.
Yes.
That's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So what can administration do? Find programs that are specific to administrators to improve your emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
Find programs for you to understand how you can show up the way that you want to show up, and understand that you are responsible for how you show up in this space. Because the thing is, teachers are constantly saying, take things off my plate. We need my plate's overfull. And it's like this proverbial plate that's never big enough
Mhm.
and like perpetually overflowing,
Yes.
right? No
Yes.
one's taking anything off your plate, guys.
No.
Like, let's be real about this. No one is taking anything off of your plate. And so even now, and this is the funniest thing, because in the work that I do, I see this a lot. Teachers are like, wait, you want me to like self-care now too? You're telling me now you need me to read this Brene Brown book and like talk about it? What? No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so they're like, they can't eat, like even a thing that's well intended
Yes.
to take care of their staff is not being received because again, everyone's so jacked.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
so jacked up. So, you know, there is a way to do this through grace, through personal introspection. And because you are empowered to be in charge of your plate, you're in charge of your plate. You get to decide what you want to live with, what you want to manage, and what you need to end. And that's something that I talk about in my programming too, because as an empowered teacher, understanding that there are certain things that are non-negotiables that have to fit into their
Yes.
day-to-day. You don't have to give all of your time, energy, and attention to all of those things.
Yeah.
You don't. You have a finite amount of time, energy, and attention to give. And if you're constantly giving it to every single thing and person that wants it, that's why you have nothing left at the end of the day, because you gave it away. Sometimes you give it away before you even get to school. If you're a mom and have 2 or 3 kids, forget it.
Forget it.
You're walking out the door, like, forget it. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think you even have to give to, your kids when they're first walking in the door? And then another thing, and then you have a faculty meeting that night, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The people who work with me and hang out with me for a while understand that, again, they're responsible for how they show up. They're responsible for who and what they decide to give their time, energy, and attention to. And I kid you not, I had one teacher who worked with me for a few weeks, and I said, so what's changed over the last couple of weeks? She's like, Jen, I was actually really excited to go to my faculty meeting. I was, excuse me, what?
What? Yeah.
What? And I almost like fell off my chair. Like, can you explain, please? And because that was something that she understood that she needed to live with, through the work that we did, and she was able to uncover her values, her beliefs, her mission, her vision for herself, she actually was able to align the purpose of the faculty meeting with who she actually wanted to be as a teacher. So it served her on her terms.
Yes.
So she actually was excited to go.
Yeah.
That, Trina, is empowered thinking.
Absolutely.
That is the mindset shift. That is how we make impactful change in education right now. It's empowering teachers to show up for themselves as the best version of themselves. That's how we do it. And administrators alike.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, so good. Thank you so much. That was excellent. Yeah. Wow. You are just a wealth of knowledge, and you're right. That's how we do it. That's how it has to be done. Yeah. Okay. Tell us where people can find you, and a little bit about the Empowered Educator. Talk a little bit about that as well.
Sure. So you can find me at jenrafferty.com. It's JenRafferty.com. And I'm on Facebook at The Empowered Educator. I'm on Instagram at Jen Rafferty Music. And my email is music@jenrafferty.com. I have the Empowered Educator program that started truly actually during COVID, because I had been on the conference circuit for a while and teaching teachers. And I stayed at home with my own 2 children doing homeschool last year, and decided, the time that I have right now and the impact I want to make can really be served by doing this full time. So that's how the Empowered Educator program started. And I have 3 different programs, one for collegiate pre-service kids, because you can imagine if you knew this stuff when you were a pre-service teacher. Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Right?
I know.
Game changer.
Absolutely.
Right. And I have, again, that 6 practices of empowered leadership for administrative and school leaders in school districts. And then the program that I have for teachers outlines 12 different workshops that go through everything from creating your personal and professional mission, your vision of who you want to be. We go in really deep diving into cognitive neuroscience, the art and science of paying attention, metacognition, how do we think, how we create memories and recall, the power of play. We go into reflective
Oh,
practices. Yeah, right. I'm like speaking
yes,
your language.
you
So,
are.
we go into reflective practices and uncovering hidden biases. We talk about advocacy and the power of our language and how it reflects and directs our attention. It's so powerful. I'm actually deep in that right now with one of the
Yes,
groups that
so
I'm working
good.
with. And then we talk about well-being. I do not call it self-care because again, that has been like just overused to the point that people roll their eyes every single time they see it. It's about
Yes,
well-being and understanding how to complete that sacrifice renewal cycle. It's how we renew ourselves.
yes,
And then
yes,
we kind of tidy it up in a bow about emotional intelligence and how we can improve our emotional intelligence to not only do better for ourselves, but the people around us, and ultimately have the impact that we want to make in this
yeah,
most important. Teachers have the most important job in the world.
yes,
And in showing up this way, empowered, you are actually changing the paradigm for the kids that are in your class, and you are changing the trajectory of the communities in which you work.
yeah.
And while my program is teacher centered,
So
underneath it all
awesome.
is
Yeah,
really about that. It's about creating
yeah.
legacy, it's about planting seeds and creating change in your communities.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. So good. Oh.
Great. Yeah. So, and I have a few programs coming up, which you can find out about on jenrafferty.com. But I have a Saturday series that's happening in March, which really outlines all of those workshops that I just talked about. That's specifically for teachers. And then if they enjoy working with me, that's when I usually go and I work with school districts and teacher
Yeah.
centers and those kinds of programs. So it's been really great to connect with people, especially now. There's a crisis, Trina, and
Yes, for
we are
sure.
the only people that are going to be able to save it.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Mm,
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were here. This was very valuable. I really appreciate you.
thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
And I appreciate you and all the work that you're doing. And this was such an important interview to have because I wanted you to hear some of the things that we can do to help ourselves and to understand that it's not our fault. It's not our fault that we have people telling us that we should do this and we should do that. And we have these crazy expectations. And yes, our plates, whether that's our literal plate or otherwise, are full. They're overflowing. And so what can we do to help keep ourselves healthy and happy physically and emotionally? Until next time, this one tired teacher is ready for a long rest. Sweet dreams and sleep tight.